G'day everyone, Eric here. When you look at Transformers as it is today, and what elements are chosen from the franchise's long history to create new stories, it's notable just how irrelevant Transformers the movie feels in this day and age. The Matrix is by far the element with the most staying power, with the characters and other plot elements being used far more sparingly. However, this aversion to the film's plot beats leaves some characters and their stories being left on the table, one of the most notable being Starscream. The price of treachery. When going back and watching the first season of Transformers, Starscream is arguably the most true to the toy's tech specs of the Decepticons. Ambitious, treacherous and cunning, overvalues his already impressive capabilities. The cartoon portrays Starscream quite accurately. The only thing the cartoon really adds to his character is impatience and cowardice, both of which are done for the purpose of comedy. Starscream plays his hand too early, Megatron gets angry and chastises him, usually through physical aggression. Comedy ensues, with Starscream begging for another chance. This isn't to say that Megatron didn't get sick of Starscream's antics. The episode Starscream's Brigade revolves around precisely this scenario, where Megatron kicks Starscream out of the Decepticons for a failed coup, leading to Starscream creating the Combaticons as his own personal army. This also serves as a bit of foreshadowing for the film. While the real goal of Transformers the movie was to clear out the old toys for the new, the film also serves as a grand climax for the character dynamic between Starscream and Megatron. With Megatron severely damaged following the Battle of Autobot City, Starscream takes the opportunity to eject him from Astrotrain to save on fuel, along with the other severely damaged Decepticons. Surviving through sheer willpower alone, Megatron hangs onto life, whereas the rest of the Decepticons die, drifting in space. This is where he runs into Unicron and is rebuilt as Galvatron, with Cyclonus, Scourge, and the Sweeps being made of the remains of the others. Galvatron's first action is to fly back to Cybertron and put an end to Starscream. A big issue with Transformers the movie is due to what the film's real purpose is, many character deaths are glossed over. Most everyone has it worse off than Starscream, but Starscream is one of the core characters of the franchise, and always has been. He's vastly more important than any other character to die, with the sole exception of Optimus Prime. The cartoon spent a lot of time with Starscream, even giving him a backstory involving Jetfire. Yet his death is just used to establish Galvatron's power levels and is quickly moved past. Starscream is treated as a character far below his station in the narrative, when his story should actually serve as a cautionary tale. Actions have consequences. Call of the Haunted. Starscream's death at the hands of Galvatron isn't actually the end for the character. As his toy was still being sold into 1986, likely due to the popularity of the character and the toy's price point, the cartoon still had to advertise him. But how do you advertise a dead character? You give Starscream a couple of spotlight episodes where he appears as a ghost. Season 3 contains 2 episodes, Starscream's Ghost and its follow-up, The Ghost in the Machine. The plot of both episodes revolves around Starscream living beyond death as a ghost, now able to possess other Transformers and control their bodies. The Ghost in the Machine even sees Starscream gain a new body from Unicron, and the episode ends with Starscream drifting into space after being severely injured by the Decepticons. It's unclear whether Starscream dies again from his injuries in this episode, but this is the last we see of Starscream in the G1 cartoon. It's not the end of G1 Starscream, however, as he turns up again in the Beast Wars episode, Possession. The plot of this episode is essentially a repeat of Starscream's Ghost, where he possesses Waspinator, but it's far more memorable than either G1 episode. Beast Wars would also later add to the lore of Starscream via the character Rampage. Rampage is the result of maximal experiments to recreate Starscream's spark, which is now being described as mutant and immortal. This gives a lore explanation behind the ghost concept, and nicely explains what happened at the end of Ghost in the Machine at the same time. Starscream literally cannot die. He's Starscream, the ever-living. Death is only the beginning. The death of Optimus Prime might be the most emotionally charged death in the 1986 film, but is only done in the service of selling new toys. There is nothing narratively gained by Optimus Prime's death divorced from the existence of Rodimus Prime. Starscream's death, on the other hand, is the logical conclusion to his story. It gives Starscream consequences for his behaviour. It shows that Megatron has his limits on what he will tolerate and isn't stupid or willing to take unnecessary risks. Starscream's death is actually a good thing to happen from a narrative point of view. It's a payoff. It's an even better thing to happen when there are further stories to tell. The issue that comes up repeatedly with the concept of Starscream's ghost is that it has no permanence to it. It's just a thing that happens, it's dealt with within the episode, the characters shrug as if they're saying, yeah, that happened, let's never talk about it again. And it isn't. Like Starscream's death, it's ultimately glossed over. However, if you look at what's been put on the table by the writers of G1, Starscream actually provides an entire story arc worth of content. You follow the normal Starscream Megatron character dynamic, where Starscream plots to overthrow Megatron and finish the season with Starscream making his move to take control. This would resolve much like the G1 cartoon normally would, with Starscream underestimating Megatron and facing the consequences. However, his treachery would be so great that Megatron puts an end to Starscream. Then start the following season with the revelation that Starscream had planned this far ahead and experimented on his own spark to give himself eternal life. He just needs a body. From there, you can either have Starscream possess the corpse of another character that died in the climax of the prior season, the backstory behind Machine Wars Starscream, or have Starscream body swap like he did in the G1 continuity, gathering parts for a new body to be revealed at the climax of the season. Our real goal is to sell a new toy after all. Whichever path you take, have Starscream start to recruit his own squad to be his Decepticons, a take on Starscream's brigade. This is done with the end goal of defeating Megatron and taking control of the Decepticons. The major story arc for the season would be the Decepticon civil war between Starscream and Megatron's forces. The end of the season would have to deal with Starscream's immortality, but I think that can be handled by trapping his spark in something he can't escape, be it a prison built for sparks or a non-threatening body. This does leave the Autobots left in the lurch with nothing to do, but that can be easily addressed. Megatron is going to have his own agenda, and that would involve the Autobots. Then this engagement drags them into the Decepticon internal conflict. This is just one potential story for Starscream's ghost, but there is still a fair bit you could still do with it. You could have Starscream possessing another character and fight them internally for full control of the body. You could have Starscream possess Optimus Prime or Megatron. You could even go as far as Starscream possessing Primus or Unicron. There is just so much more that you can do with the Ghost of Starscream concept than what has been done. G1 essentially handed multiple story arcs on a silver platter to anyone willing to take them, and 40 years later, they still haven't. The concept of Starscream's ghost has been touched upon twice in the 2000s. Firstly, Energon, where Armada Starscream returned as a ghost, but this entire story arc has more in common with Dinobot 2 than it does G1 Starscream. The second is Transformers Animated, where Starscream briefly dies and is revived by a fragment of the Allspark embedded into his skull. That too has little resemblance to anything we talked about today. The Ghost of Starscream concept has basically been forgotten by Transformers media in the last 25 years. Animated and Prime both delve into the backstory of Starscream being a scientist for their characterizations, while Cyberverse, Earthspark, and the movies give us a very surface level interpretation of Starscream, drawing from the first 3 episodes of Generation 1. Today, Starscream somehow feels underutilized. Transformers is interesting in that the brand is 40 years old now, yet still has so much meat left on the bones. The characters not used, the personalities not explored, the paths not taken, elements not mixed. Unfortunately, it's going to take another very special series like Transformers Animated to see us get quality storytelling in Transformers again. If you enjoyed today's video and want more toy content, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps out a lot. Till next time, friends, this has been Eric from Toys Down Under, and thanks for watching.